Per questo noi ascoltiamo con piacere l'intervento di
We are going to listen to Amani, Abou, Zeid, who is a commissioner of the African Union for Infrastructure and Energy.
Good morning, everyone. Distinguished participants, allow me at the outset to send my special greetings to His Excellency, the Minister Raffaele Fitto, Minister of European Affairs, and to His Excellency Vincenzo Sanasi Darpe, the President of the World Food Programme. And just to let you know, I am here upon the invitation of Madame Letizia Morazzi, someone to whom I hold a great respect, and really in recognition also of the excellent work that is being conducted by the foundation of San Patriano. And in such, I know that Africa has been mentioned several times in the previous interventions, but the question in your minds might still be, why are we talking about Africa? Africa is the oldest and closest partner of Europe. That is the current situation. I also confidently say that there is no future for anyone without Africa. Africa is front and center of any future economy. Therefore, as citizens of this world, we should all be paying great attention to Africa and what's happening in the continent, and I will elaborate why. The second and direct one, current one as well, is that not only Italy is now presiding over the G7, but also Italy chose to have Africa as its main theme, a special attention to the work with Africa under the Italian presidency. And the third, I did explain at a personal level the invitation that was extended to my humble self by the foundation, to whom I'm very much grateful. Let me elaborate. Now, the world we are living in is characterized since 2020 by multiple shocks and multiple crises. The term now is polycrisis. Between the COVID, the energy crisis, the economic crisis, the food crisis, these are not easy matters to deal with. And of course, as Africans, we are very much impacted by these crises. And overall, globally also, we have the climate crisis. The other side of a crisis is opportunity. Never before the world has been having an opportunity to change and to fundamentally rethink its path, its projects, its approach to any of these matters like now. And we cannot continue doing what we were doing pre-2020 and thinking that this is the future. And I'm happy to say that when we talk about Africa, Africa is 55 countries with variable levels of development, and also within sectors, variable levels of development. Africa is home to 1.3 billion people. Africa is 65% young people, and we are the youngest region of the world, and we will continue to be in whereas all the rest of the world is an aging world. Africa is the continent of the fastest growing economies in the world. If those who didn't know, 11 of the fastest growing economies in the world are Africans. Africa is also the continent with the highest rate of penetration of the internet and the fastest digitalizing. 40% of our energy comes from renewable energy, and therefore Africa is the region with the highest rate of renewable energy in its energy mix worldwide. No other region can compete with Africa with that. So this is the Africa, just portion of the things that is happening in Africa. Then where is the problem? If I'm saying all of this, then where is the problem? The problem is that we are having a very high demographic growth rate, meaning that, you know, the number of people increase, and just to put it in perspective for you, Africa needs to generate 11 million jobs every year. That's almost 1 million jobs a month. The second is that we are the region that is most impacted by climate shocks. Whereas Africa generates, the whole continent, the 555 countries, generate only 3% of emissions. The problem also is that many of the jobs that are being created on the continent are not fit for the 21st century, if at all. And actually here I'm not talking only about ourselves, in some other economies as well. We are facing what is called jobless growth, which means either you are depending on exporting raw material in some countries, and in some other economies outside Africa, that you are growing an economy based on, say, technology, which, you know, displaced people out of their jobs, what they call technologically displaced people. The problem also is that little value addition, and we are developing nations. So developing nations mean that we need to industrialize, we need to put down the infrastructure, we need to grow our economies. So what is the African Union doing to address all these challenges? One, growing the economies. We do realize that our economies are small or medium. So we created the largest free trade area, the African Free Trade Area, which has been operation for 2 years now, and we did it, you know, in a matter of 3 years. Whereas, as you know, in other continents, like your continent, here in Europe, it took like about 40 years to realize. We made this in 3, record. Never in the history of mankind a free trade area has been established this fast. We are also creating the fastest and biggest and the largest single energy market in the world, which is going to be operational 2040, making sure that the natural resources in energy, highly abundant in the continent, are going to be traded upon across the whole continent, which is going to suffice the continent, cover all our needs, and also generate enough for export. We are rethinking our exports, meaning exports and raw material and minerals. Currently, if you know, many of our exports are just, you know, exports raw. Now, our industrial policies want to make sure that we create local value addition. And this will only happen if we start to industrialize locally, meaning transform those minerals locally. And why I said earlier that we are front and center when it comes to the future. If the future is going to be green, green means what? Green energy? Yes, green energy. Where do you store green energy? In a battery, whether it's a car or it's a grid, in a battery. And the battery, where the minerals come from for this battery? 80% of the 80% of the minerals necessary for the green energy have their home in Africa. And currently, these are used by only one country, without naming the country, to manufacture those batteries. Currently, and we started already, the manufacturing of those batteries in Africa. We have three countries that started doing that. Not only it creates local jobs and value addition, but also made the batteries 30% cheaper for the rest of the world. So it's a win-win situation. This is just an example. We have 9 countries that started producing green hydrogen and are producing green hydrogen. We have 4 countries that are started also the production of sustainable aviation fuel. This has happened, in late 2022. So we are picking up very quickly. Digitalization, as I said, we are the fastest digitalizing region of the world. And some of you who have been in some of our countries know that anyone in Africa, whether they even know how to read and write, are very much, digitally skilled, at least the basic skills. And, e-money is an African invention, which started early 20th century. We are invented this for the whole world. Now, when you make transactions with your phone, remember that this is an African invention. I'm saying this because we deeply believe in digitalization as a game changer. We know because the world had to go through one of the toughest and the most severe crises ever in 2020 to realize how important digitalization is. And as I keep saying, in my own country, I'm from Egypt, by the way. In my own country, not one single child has missed the school in 2020, 2021. Because earlier, we made sure that all our schools are connected and that we manufacture locally tablets, which we distributed for free to children. And when 2020 hit, every child was able, either through television or through their tablet, to follow their school. Not one single child has missed a class. So this is, the way we are thinking and rethinking digitalization. The same thing goes for health. The same thing goes for agriculture and food. And I was really happy with the earlier intervention by the World Food Programme. E-agriculture, using digitalization, is very important to rethink the way we are doing agriculture, agribusiness, and the way the farmers are dealing with the crops, with the climate, and with the marketing of the products. Another aspect to address are the challenges to create a resilient economy, sustainable and resilient economy, is to address the gaps, to address the divides. No one can grow in this life and in the future with the current divides between women and men. And this goes across the board, not just in Africa. No one can grow in life and continue in the future without divides between urban and rural. And no one can grow in life without addressing the divides in digital knowledge between across the board, for the older population. Why is this important? Currently, as we speak in our continent, we can still see, the divides in terms of education, women and girls. Even though, for instance, girls constitute 47% of students in technology studies, STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, only very few continue in their career in STEM. We see, for instance, the urban-rural, in terms of digitalization, most of the knowledge, digital knowledge and skills are concentrated in urban areas. We want to make sure that our rural areas also equally benefit. These are just some examples. And technology, the skills. And why skills are important? Skills for the 21st century. If you think, or anyone thinks, that we will continue in the future, near or far, doing what we were doing early 21st century, they are utterly mistaken. Because now technology is taking over. And unless we harness the technology to our side, we will all be losers. I'm very happy that yesterday evening, I don't know whether who went to the dinner noticed or not. In Rimini, I saw a sign saying AI Week, Italian week for artificial intelligence. I know that many are skeptical when it comes to artificial intelligence, not in Africa. We know that technology can help us move very fast and in a very different way than what used to be before. And we are harnessing AI to our benefit. And this month, the artificial intelligence strategy for Africa is going to be released for ministers to review before going to the summit. Before, last year, we had a data policy for Africa, ensuring also safety and security for all Africans. And with that, we also became the first region in the world to have a specific policy for children online, empowerment and safety. And that this is really a breakthrough for the whole world, and I invite everyone to take a look at this policy. Why? Because we want our children to use the technology, but we want them to do it in a safe and secure manner. Our infrastructure programs, they make sure that we bridge the divide urban-rural in terms of infrastructure, whether it is energy, whether it is transport, and whether it is digital. Our education policy, and this year, 2024, is the year for education fit for the 21st century, made sure that we bridge the divide and make sure also that we do it about education that is fit for the future. And this will only happen harnessing, all the developments, either in renewable energy, in digital, and other fields, when we prepare our people, our children, our young people to the jobs of the future. I can go on and on, but as I mentioned, I see the time is almost there. I don't want to be too long. The purpose of my intervention is twofold. One is threefold. One, it is a crisis, but it's a good crisis, because when it's a good crisis, we take the necessary decisions that we never dared take before. So this is the time for those decisions. Two, don't keep looking under your feet. Keep your eye on the future and make sure that decisions, policies, jobs, skills, education are ones that are fit for the future and not fit for now or fit for the early 21st century, but are fit, for the rest of the century. Three, want to make sure that our young people, women and men, urban, rural, wherever they are in the world, have equal opportunities, have equal access to what the world can bring, and it can bring many. And with this, I wish you all a fantastic forum. I renew my thanks to St. Patriano, but also to the local authorities for generously hosting this event, and I thank you.
Grazie. Grazie Amani Abou Zeid.